Namaste. Welcome to our third satsang about Nafs, about the levels of the soul. Let's start with a short moment of centeredness in the heart. Please close your eyes. Keep your back straight. The verticality of the spine gives a sense of inner spiritual verticality, presence. The body and mind are relaxed. We center in the middle of the chest, a little to the right. Being aware of that tremor of the heart. The aliveness of our soul. Asking, who am I? keeping the awareness of the heart. The openness of the heart. We gently open the eyes. We start with a very short recapitulation. So we are speaking about these 7 levels of the Nafs, stages in the development of the human soul. Why? So because it is very important, we cannot build castles on a moving sand. A proper foundation is needed, and the purification of the soul is needed in such a transformation. And apart from the yogic tradition, we are going to speak about this aspect of inner transformation, specifically now in the Sufi context. And in the previous satsang, we spoke about the metaphysical vision on which Sufism is based. And so, first of all, consciousness, the essence, that ultimate reality is primordial. This, we said, is not just in Sufism, this appears in yoga, in Advaita Vedanta, in Kashmir Shaivism, but also is what Max Planck said, Schrödinger, Einstein. So consciousness is primordial. And then we have this manifest world. Somewhere in between this conscious essence and all this manifest world, there is, we can say, a world of divine qualities, a world of archetypes, as Platon named it. Last satsang, we still made a difference between the idea of the archetypes and this value of the divine names or of the divine attributes in the Sufi tradition. They are all related or based or rooted in that divine essence. And this is fundamental. And we say that we live in a universe that is not only a material, quantitative universe, but qualitative as well, in the sense that these archetypal qualities are like vectors of sacredness or spiritual rays of this sun of consciousness. And relying on them or acknowledging them is a way of going out from Maya, which even etymologically means to measure. So it's the realm of quantity, as the Sufi tradition also saw. So Maya, the realm of measurement, of quantity, and then we have a realm of quality whenever we honor those noble qualities of the heart. So it is the heart that can discern and can recognize beauty, compassion, love, majesty, humbleness, generosity, and so on. So this is happening in our heart. And every quality that a human being recognizes in the world of our outer appearances is derived, first of all, from the inner knowing of its own heart, from the soul. So we can know about beauty or about love in connection with something which we name as being beautiful, because this capacity is there, that awakening is happening in our being. So the heart is like a mirror that reflects the universe, and in this mirror of our heart, of our soul, we can recognize the beauty of the world, the generosity, the perfection, and any such quality. And more than this, the Sufi tradition is telling us, as the yogis are saying, that the heart contains a complete sampling of all these divine qualities. So there is nothing that doesn't exist in our heart. Why? Because our heart is of the same nature as the ultimate essence. Atman and Brahman are one, and this unity of existence is also a concept that appears in the Sufi tradition. But this universe of qualities is possible because it is reflected in the heart. So by polishing the mirror of the heart, by making our heart more and more pure, the heart will be like a perfect mirror that can mirror or can reflect such qualities in the world. And apart from this, there is the essential source, or that ultimate essence, or that primordial consciousness that is the source of both mirrors, the human and the cosmos. We spoke about that statement of Dostoevsky that the beauty will save the world, and we gave the meaning in this understanding of the divine qualities. We spoke also about what the Sufis are referring to nisbat, or spiritual affinity, when our heart starts resonating deeply with such divine qualities. So then the divine names become like relationships between the ultimate and our being. So they are ways of saving us, and it's like we are in that depth of intimacy with such divine quality. So it's like I develop a relationship, a spiritual affinity with beauty, or some may develop with purity, or some with generosity, or majesty, and so on. We spoke about that 99 names of the divine, which are such divine archetypes or qualities. And then we made a contemplation, we had a practical meditation, a contemplation on beauty and majesty. So how such qualities can be combined, and then how they affect or how they connect with our heart. And we said that we will repeat this meditation today as well. So it's a contemplation on beauty, al-Jamal, and majesty, al-Jalal. Two divine qualities. We said that they appear somehow in Kabbalah, in those two pillars of the Temple of the Solomon, Joachim and Boaz, the pillar of mercy and severity, that the fundamental description of God sometimes appears, like Rudolf Otto name it the mysterium tremendus and fascinans. God is a mystery in front of which our heart trembles in this wonderment, and at the same time is a fascination. There is a fear coming from a kind of majesty, magnificence, and at the same time a fascination, an attraction. So these two poles can potentiate each other. They are not really separate, but they are like two dimensions of this spiritual search. And then just contemplating how they can be integrated in our soul, in this understanding of our being, is a way of transforming ourselves. So, also in the Sufi tradition, all the divine names fall into these two categories. Either they are more in that category of beauty or in that category of majesty. Jalal is the awesome power and force of God, faced on which the ego or the limited person would feel limited and insignificant and powerless. So Al-Jalal suggests this greatness of the divine. It's a way of contemplating that. And Al-Jamal is God's beauty. So that on the contrary inspires a sense of fascination, attraction, intimacy, protection, tenderness, love. And we started, and we will do this, but I just explained first and then we'll do together very briefly. We started with a contemplation of divine beauty in manifestation. So how this divine beauty is reflected in a flower, in a butterfly, in the sky, in the leaves, in nature in general, as well in our soul. So in our relationship, in the relationship with our lover. So all this beauty which manifests and we experience in life. So this is the immanence of beauty. Then we will do, while going deeper somehow in this beauty, we will contemplate the beauty of the essence. So like all these expressions of beauty are pointing to something deeper in our heart. It's like a sense of beauty, a sense of beauty. Like all this brings a sense of beauty in our heart. It's, I hope, quite normal or experientially totally possible. You start maybe with the beauty of your lover, but then it's the physical beauty, then you start acknowledging also the beauty of the soul, and then eventually that beauty transforms into just a tremor. It's just a overwhelming wonderment beyond any expression or beyond any need for a harmony of forms. Is just a tremor. It's just beauty. It's just beauty. And that beauty is not separate from ourselves anymore. We will speak about this a little bit later. So this face of the divine beauty, we can say, essence, the beauty of the essence, both beauty of the immanence and the beauty of the transcendence are associated with a sense of ecstasy, intoxication, freedom. Then a third stage is a stage in which we will contemplate the signs of divine majesty or power everywhere, like that power of a thunderbolt or a waterfall, or that majesty of the sky, of the starry night sky. Many such signs, or the intensity, the tremendous intensity of an energy that we may experience. And then in a similar way, we come to the contemplation of the majesty of the divine as essence. So the majesty of the essence, that mysterium, tremendum mysterium, mystery in front our heart is trembling. These two stages related to majesty, magnificence, are more related to clarity, sobriety. And then in the next stages, we bring them together. In the fifth stage, it's a contemplation of the beauty and majesty of the essence, so in that depth of the heart, and then of the beauty and majesty in the next step in manifestation. So how beauty and majesty are together, are inseparable, and that gives a sense of completeness, this al-kamal. It's interesting that in yoga, in Sanskrit, these are Arabic concept, but in Sanskrit we also have Kamala, which means etymologically the lotus and the expresses, and there is the cosmic goddess Kamalatmika, which expresses the same completeness and perfection and abundance. So in these stages, we have a balance of both divine essence and of manifestation at the level of Jamal and Jalal, of majesty and beauty. And then the last stage is that in which it's a union of all of this: beauty, majesty in manifestation, in essence. So everything is embraced, the union of all unions. So we just put in this way to make it clear. First step is contemplation of immanent beauty, then the beauty of the essence. So when the beauty is deeply interiorized in your heart, it's in connection with that essence, then it's immanent majesty, magnificence, then it's the majesty of the essence, then the majesty and beauty of the essence, then the beauty and the majesty, or majesty and beauty of the immanence, and then all together. Yes? So let's do a very short meditation. We just have this simple image, but it's a beautiful image, an expression of the sun and filtered through the leaves, a symbol of this magnificence of light, of the spirit manifesting in the immanence. So it's like the immanence and transcendence somehow together in such an image of beauty and majesty, magnificence. So let's do this short meditation. Please close your eyes. Keep your back straight. The openness of the heart. Allow your heart to be open, really open. more and more open to beauty, and evoke beauty in whatever form this beauty appears, inspires you, in nature, in manifestation, in relation to art, to love, nature. Our soul is thirsty for beauty, is longing for beauty. Now we come to the very essence of beauty, the divine essence of beauty. In the depth of our heart, all these expressions come in harmony. It is just beauty. We become beauty. And keeping this sacred beauty in the heart, this openness to beauty, we evoke the majesty, the magnificence in countless manifestations all that brings that overwhelming wonderment, fascination, a sense of eternity, infinity. Omnipotence. And now we refer to the majesty of the essence, of the divine essence. And all these expressions of majesty are just pointing to the heart. And now in that depth of being, all that we see is beauty and majesty of this essence. Inseparable. And now, contemplating it in the world, majesty and beauty together. The majesty of beauty, the beauty of majesty in a flower, in the whole cosmos, in a human body or soul, in a gesture. In the ocean. In the wind. Beauty and magnificence. And the last step, the union of all unions. The majesty and beauty of the essence, the majesty and beauty of manifestation. Together. And we gently open the eyes. So this is a way in which we can nourish our soul and inspire ourselves. This is very relevant for us because, of course, it's very meaningful on a spiritual path. But we can find in the yogic tradition very precise correspondences to such approach. The Kashmir Shaivism would name Shaktopaya, the path of energy. And so it's very, very much a tantric approach to the spiritual transformation. And we have also in the tantric tradition, the tradition of the Dasha Mahavidya, the 10 great cosmic wisdoms. And we can look, for example, at this cosmic wisdom, like Kali, which is the wisdom of time and eternity, as such divine quality, like a divine ray, like a prism. So imagine a prism, and usually from a prism, through a prism, the light passes, and then we have all the spectrum, all the colors. But then imagine that each of these cosmic wisdoms, and the same is with the divine qualities, are like such a prism through which different aspects of, so it's a prism of time and eternity, Kali. And then all the aspects related to temporality is what Kali shows here. The breath, the breathing cycles, any form of cycle, the full moon, the equinox, aspects of time, the present moment, the beauty of past, future, the relationship that between them, and then death, and all that death can bring, and all such fascinating aspects are all like those different colors that the prism of sacred power of time will show. And then all these aspects then come back to the essence, is the same time, eternity, direction, dimension, quality, divine quality, archetype. And the same is with beauty, and the same is with any such cosmic wisdom and any such divine quality or divine name, names of the divine. And now referring to majesty and beauty, as you see, we shouldn't see them just as rigid dimensions. We learn how to understand that they interact, and actually is a synergy between them, and we are inspired to see beauty in majesty, in magnificence of beauty, and so on. So then there is an unexpressed beauty you cannot explain, is there. There is beauty and bewilderment at the same time. There is manifestation and transcendence. And we can start exploring, and this is what Tantra basically is doing, is about starting to explore like a bridge between immanence and transcendence, which, if we take it just philosophically, seems paradoxical, because immanence is just about manifestation, transcendence is beyond. And still, experientially, that bridge is possible. So I come to beauty, expressions of beauty, and then I come to that essence, the beauty of the essence. And that touches, so through those spectrum of colors, is like we go through the prism in that, back in that source, to that ultimate reality, in which eventually all such divine qualities are unified, are one. So, as a practice for us would be to simply learn to expand and make more intimate the consciousness of such a bridge. To live these two dimensions, the realm of being and the realm of expression, the realm of essence and the realm of manifestation, is the beauty depth of your heart, and then it manifests. And then you see it reflected, but it's the same. It's the same reality there. And this is actually what in the Oriental tradition was named Sahaja, the naturalness, now the coexistence, samsara, sahaja, born together. What? Samsara and nirvana. So the immanence, the phenomenal world, and the transcendence. They are born together. And we can experience this. We can learn through all these divine qualities, we can learn to recreate this bridge and reconnect. And then in any gesture is the present moment, is, yes, something related to manifestation, but then it touches that sense of eternity. So present moment and eternity is just the same touch. Or as Ramana said, any bliss, any form of bliss is pointing to the bliss of the self. So how an expression of the bliss can connect to that bliss of the self. Of course, for this, we need to learn to open, to welcome all such manifestations. And for example, even this, speaking about beauty and majesty, or majesty and beauty, we can make a link with that statement of the Tibetan, or that mantra, that sacred mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. It can have many interpretations and many ways of understanding this mantra of compassion. But here it's also about Al-Jalal and Al-Jamal, the Mysterium Tremendum and Fascinans, because we can look, of course, Mani means precious stone, like a diamond, and Padma means lotus. So it's about that interplay between the jewel and the lotus. But this jewel is like the symbol of the spirit, or of that wonderment of consciousness, and then the lotus is the beauty of manifestation. So it's the essence and the essence and the manifestation. And it's like you evoke both of them. It's like you create again and again this bridge between manifestation and so immanence and transcendence. So the diamond of consciousness, this Al-Jalal, and the lotus of the world, like mostly this Al-Jamal, the beauty. Consciousness shining in the world, and then the heart shining in the inner and outer universe. And then it goes beyond rational, beyond symbolic, and starts having what we would name a heart-tremoring meaning. So this in the yogic tradition, especially in the tantric Kashmir Shaivist tradition, is named Dvani, or it's Dvani, it's resonance, but is meaningful resonance in that sense of the ultimate. So what is the meaning of beauty in your heart? So you go into that love and you go deeper and deeper. And then at a certain point, beyond any expression, you are speechless. You are simply abandoning yourself into just love. And that has a meaning to you. It's not a rational meaning, but your heart starts vibrating, and it's just a pure vibration, that essence of love. No? And that would be Dvani. So it's, we can say, heart tremoring meaning, which is different from a symbolic meaning. No? The symbolic meaning requires the intellect, buddhi. For example, you refer to a rooster, and then you know the rooster is the symbol of the sun, is a solar symbol, as it is, for example, the lion or the sulfur in alchemy, and so on. Or wine is the symbol of the mystical love in the Sufi tradition, or the sun is the symbol of the spirit, and so on. So it's more intellectual, but Dvani is a heart meaning, so heart tremoring meaning, which requires what the Oriental tradition says, Sahridaya. So when, for example, you read the poem by Rumi, you see a picture of Botticelli, or you see a sunset, then your heart starts vibrating, and maybe there can be even external manifestations like goosebumps or tears of beauty there. So this is Dvani. This is that real resonance. Now, when beyond just an intellectual understanding, something has this meaning. And this can happen with just saying, Om Mani Padme Hum. That Mani, the jewel of essence, and then the Padme is that whole lotus of the cosmos. And then they are all embraced in your heart. It's beauty and majesty, majesty and beauty. And then beyond any rational explanation, it's just this tremor. So this is very much experiential, and it's what can happen in meditation. Of course, this is more than a symbolic meaning. It's not like, oh, I understand that the rooster means sun is the symbol of the sun, and then tears are coming. No, it's only when your heart vibrates. A symbol is just can be just a intellectual connection there, but unless it is a heart resonating meaning, Dvani there, we cannot really speak about that meaning of the heart. You have that understanding. So you read a poem, maybe Rumi, let's say, has some symbolic words, but it's not about the symbolism of the poem. It's not that which is touching us. Is maybe that longing that goes beyond words, and that is Dvani. And the same is with beauty, and the same is with majesty, and the same is with all such divine qualities. So that's why they can transform ourselves. So these divine qualities have indeed a tremendous redemption power. They can show us the path to the divine. Just welcome them completely. So honor, beauty, love, generosity, compassion, grace, gratefulness. And that's why Dostoevsky said, beauty will save the world. Your soul can be transformed, can be deeply changed when it's charged by beauty. And then we just allow that happen. No? Or as the Campbell, the great mythologist, said, follow your bliss. But when the whole context of this affirmation, follow your bliss, is just follow your bliss because that bliss points to Ananda. This is what Campbell, some people in the West tend to take that just this, follow your bliss. No? But it's follow your bliss because this bliss in different expressions related to manifestation will bring that Ananda, that bliss of the self, that pure existence, awareness, bliss. No? So you start honoring beauty. Then it's not just the beauty of a painting or of a flower in itself. That would be an important step, but just the first step. Many, of course, do this step. We do this step, but then we stop. We may say, I was to see an art gallery, or then I went to see that garden. Then I went to a bhajan. I sang, I danced. It was nice, uplifting. This is good, but it's just a way of charging at a personal level. So it's a personal level in which we can appreciate beauty and so on. So appreciate beauty or any divine quality in our life. But then we can have another step, which Tantra speaks about and the Sufi tradition as well. Allow the energy of beauty or all such energies to be revealed as divine. So beauty as a divine quality related to the subject. The Kashmir Shaivis tradition would name it a subjective energy. Make this beauty become a subjective energy. Not in the sense that subjective means relative, but in the sense that it refers to the subject, to who you really are. So that energy is rooted in you, in God, in who you essentially are, in that subject or self, Atman. So then beauty becomes the Shakti, the energy that guides you. So what would be the difference is like I am contemplating about time and then I am just surrender to Kali. I can look in my heart to see beauty, and yes, I experience beauty or compassion, or I can look into my heart and see the kingdom of God is in your heart. So looking as your heart as the kingdom of God, that kingdom of God, which is your heart, is full of beauty or is full of grace. So then it's not just my personal energy, is a universal energy, is a divine, is not even universal, wouldn't be correct to say just universal, is divine because it is rooted in essence, in God as essence. So it is rooted in consciousness. And because of this, it has a root in infinity, in eternity, in omnipotence. So it's not just a personal energy. You relate to beauty in its archetypal and unlimited and eternal potentiality. And you just allow that to happen. Now, it may not be obvious in the beginning, but you let it happen and you are guided. This is how, for example, in Tantra, we evoke Tripura Sundari, the cosmic wisdom of beauty, or Chinnamasta, the cosmic beauty of supreme transcendence and courage, or Kali of time and eternity, and so on. And then through this beauty, in a deeper stage, jnana comes, or knowledge. So I used to be that person going to a bhajan or going to a meeting with my lover or to that forest. Now I am love. Now I am beauty. I recognize myself like this. Or I can say where I am. No, like the mystics are saying what I am, where I am. Because you allow completely be dissolved into that. In the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, for example, we have Sutra 65. This is a tantric text, which says in a very similar way, contemplate either simultaneously the whole universe or simultaneously the whole body and be filled with the bliss of the self. Then, by this nectar-like bliss, you'll become one with the supreme bliss. So you just allow that happen in your body and then in the whole cosmos. And that can happen with touch, with different experiences, with dancing, with eating, in many, many ways. But then that energy, when the energy becomes subjective in that sense of cosmic, touching that subject, that pure subject, or the supreme, we have, like in the Sufi tradition, it is said, love is a sweetness, but its inner reality is bewilderment. So in the beginning, love starts as something nice. Oh, I'm happy, I'm in love with you, it's nice, but then you are taken beyond that. No? You are shaken, deeply, deeply touched, and that is something that surprises you because it's beyond all those realms in which you were just a person meeting another person. That's why it is said, love is a sweetness, but its inner reality is bewilderment. It may start as this beauty, al-Jamal, that becomes one with al-Jalal, magnificence. And then they are together in that bewilderment. Or as Majnun said, you know, the story of Majnun and Layla, it existed. These two people existed in maybe 7th, 8th century in the Arabian Peninsula. Some say that even before Islam, this love happened. And Majnun felt it's like a Romeo and Juliet story. And possessed by that love, Majnun would say, I no longer know myself. Who am I? I keep turning upon myself, asking, what is your name? Are you in love with whom? Or are you loved by whom? A flame burns in my heart, a flame beyond measure, which has turned my being to ashes. Do I still know where I live? Do I still taste what I eat? I am lost in my own wilderness. And it continues in this way, like a stage in this transformation, which finally brings the ultimate revelation as becoming one with love. Many such images of this story of Majnun and Layla, and even these images and stories, how Majnun in the desert is followed by all the animals, how that love becomes a cosmic love in which animals feel all that is acknowledged. And then we can speak as well, very much connected to us, to this, to a sense of drunkenness. The Sufi tradition speaks about this mystical wine or mystical drunkenness, where the wine is the symbol of love, of divine love. And this appears in the Sufi tradition, in Christianity as well. The heart resonating meaning. So that Dvani, your heart is melted in that beauty and in that love. It is when you are not you, but just that love for your lover. When you are drunk, the respectability, the social conventions, the fears, the limitations, or are falling apart. It's like Rumi said, no? In a poem, I'm so drunk, I have lost the way in and the way out. I have lost the earth, the moon, and the sky. Don't put another cup of wine in my hand, pour it in my mouth, for I have lost the way to my mouth. No? A transcendence of everything in this mystical madness or divine madness. This is what it is, how we should approach a bhajan, for example, this time of contemplating no? Or loving the divine. It's a conscious drunkenness. This is the attitude, and as we will see, this is the attitude in meditation as well. With this, I mean, even from a practical point of view, even in meditation, we can refer to what I would name a second layer of thinking, or the realm of intention, which is subtle than thoughts. And there, in this spiritual drunkenness, you accept the possession. In reality, it is a deep surrender. As a sort of drunkenness. Of course, you are never possessed. It's not that you are not ultimately that consciousness. You'll remain aware. It's just the dualistic thinking, doubts, fears are dropped. The ego is annihilated. So all those layers are dropped away. So the ego is possessed, subdued by Kali, by Chinnamasta, by a divine quality, by a divine power like this, by beauty. You are possessed by beauty, which is not a possession. No, it's just you allow, it's a conscious surrender in beauty. And it's a conscious drunkenness in a meaningful energy, meaningful not in a logical way, but it's a energy that you know it's carrying you, and it's more and more and more that beauty, and more that bliss, and more that compassion, and so on. And this is Shaktopaya, the path of energy. So part of the individual path, Anavopaya, we have in Shaivis Shaktopaya, in yoga, Shaktopaya, this path of energy, when the energy is revealed as universal. Again, not just universal because it's in the universe, but is rooted in God. You know this is rooted in the essence, in who you are. And you are taken by divine beauty or divine purity, and it's just that contemplation. It's not just my purity or I want to be pure. It's just I am taken by that. And then we can say, like a criteria for this Shaktopaya, if while being in a bhajan, no, or meditating with Krishna, with Radha, with Jesus, with Virgin Mary, meditating on compassion, on love or beauty, majesty, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, the all-compassionate, the all-merciful one, or Al-Jalal, Al-Jamin, this magnificence, this beauty, all this, if while meditating on these divine qualities, something else appears, you are not yet in that absorption. So going into a bhajan, if I just start dancing but being very much proud of the way I'm dancing and like looking or hoping that somebody else will see me, or if I sing and I want to affirm myself, look how beautiful voice I am, or it's not about only, or it is about Krishna, but look also how nice my voice is, no? Or if I'm looking and I see, oh, this couple, I didn't know that they are together, who is dancing with whom, and all this, you know, it's happening. We go into bhajan and we are happy, we are taken by that wave of excitement. But that wave of excitement is just that first step, no? Is that steering of the energy. You open to that. Definitely it's a field, it's an ocean of energy that starts opening. But then it's also, what are we doing with that? So if we just use that in an excitement, in that personal way, this is what, it's all that we know, that yes, it's uplifting, but then we come back to the same kind of tendencies. But if, or the same mentality, mind, me looking, me observing myself, observing others. But if I allow, so I come consciously there to surrender to Krishna, and I look for that. So Krishna becomes like a prism, as I said. It can be a divine quality, but in the Sufi tradition, the prophets or Jesus or Krishna or any such manifestation, divine manifestation, is at the same time like a prism that can radiate such divine qualities. And if through that love, I can come to that subjective energy of oneness, when I become one, so it's not, the dualistic mind is not there. Why is dualistic? Because it's me and that mind. What disappears is not actually the mind, it's just the profane, the common mind. What remains is just, we can say, a mystical mind. And this is the second layer of thinking, as I was speaking about. So I'm meditating, and then still I can think that, oh, I'm here and the time is passing, or it's passing it's too slow, how much time is there, I would like to go to eat, and so on. So all this is the dualistic mind. But if I surrender to who I am, then there, it's nothing else to this. When I ask, who am I? When we ask, who am I? Do you think that is just a philosophical question? Is exactly about the same beauty, the same wonderment. So these divine qualities start having meaning, and then you allow yourself to be possessed by that, which means I surrender to that beauty of my heart. I surrender to the beauty and majesty of the essence of my being. And consciously, I abandon to that. So consciously, I die into that. So I do want to do that. So this acceptance of possession, which, as I said, is not really a possession in that common sense, is an essential secret in Tantra. This, for example, happened to many mystics. We have the example of St. Francis of Assisi. Before becoming that great saint, before even having the first revelation, he had a calling, a vision of Jesus. Even before that, he started, he had, of course, started having a longing for solitude, and he made some pilgrimages to Rome. So, yes, it was a change, but not something completely relevant. There was something that changed completely his life. he was on his horse. He was a part of a noble family. And on a road, he met, like it was a corner he couldn't see. He was just surprised that a leper appeared in front of him, begging. And the first reaction was to run away. The way in which that face, the smell, that the putrefaction was there. So he was simply scared. So that personal reaction was there. But he just went beyond all such tendencies. So he went to the ground near him. He gave some coins to him, to that man, and overcoming all those tendency of repulsion, he kneeled and kissed his hand, the hand of the leper. And he felt that it was Jesus there. And he felt from that time, from that moment, that he became a vessel of compassion. And all the examples that, all the people who followed him after that, following this path of renunciation and surrender, many commentaries are saying that we're coming from this openness that St. Francis created in that moment of surrender. So, you see, he couldn't necessarily know what will happen. First, it was a fear there, but he went beyond that, beyond the personal limitations, and then is just compassion at its peak, unconditional compassion. It's a longing to go beyond any such limitations. And again, this is something that can be done consciously. How can we welcome such surrender, such absorption? Well, Patanjali in classical yoga is telling us, is speaking about how states of samadhi can be attained in chapter 1, Sutra 20, but is in general in connection with any such state that can open to that non-duality. So what used to be just compassion becomes a wave, a cosmic wave of compassion. So Patanjali says asamprajnata samadhi is preceded by faith, shraddha, vigor, virya, remembrance, smriti, and samadhi prajna, or knowledge brought by samadhi. So what this means? It means faith. Of course, you go into that with no doubts. So it's not a faith in a formal way. It's a faith in who you are. It's a faith in that essence. And in that faith, you honor that divine quality or that dimension, that energy fully. Then it's also virya. It's about an energy, vigor, power that should be there in order that, let's say we are in a bhajan singing. No, it is faith. It's a faith which we express to that beauty or to Krishna. And then it is the power, virya. And then it is what Patanjali names this remembrance. If you experience previous states like this, it's just an evocation. You open in a conscious way to that. Exactly as, for example, meeting our lover, we can evoke that moment of total surrender, that moment of perfect love. No, sometimes people just feel embarrassed, or no, it was that moment of total vulnerability, of total transparency, of total openness. That is the moment which should be evoked. That is exactly this remembrance, smriti. You evoke that. No? It was a woman few weeks ago. She told me that indeed, speaking about bhajan, she suddenly had a connection with Krishna. Of course, she went in bhajans many times. She was singing, and then that was when the energy became universal. And then for days that echoes there, and she was, so that understanding then should be evoked. Yes, maybe in time that will decrease, but then again, that should be evoked. That is the remembrance. And then what means this knowledge brought by samadhi, samadhi prajna, is about the effects. So you know the effects that brings. Even after that, you are elated, you are happy, you are lighter. And all that understanding, all that knowledge, you know yourself, you allow yourself to be in that. You know what means to be in love, and you allow that. You allow that knowledge, that all those effects. So it's not just about the memory of that moment, all those effects. This would be samadhi prajna. All that knowledge related to that now is evoked. And all these are like conditions, favorable conditions that will trigger another state of samadhi, or will trigger another openness to this shaktopaya, to these divine qualities, to divine beauty, and so on. And he said it is close to people who are extremely intense in their practice. In connection with this, in yoga, we have this bhavana, or a pure, almost transcendental thought moved by longing, love, spanda. What this means is like being in the, again, in a bhajan or in a meditation here. It's like I open myself, and it's like this attitudes also that help such openness is like a welcoming, in which is not like I'm not anymore in a just in this physical realm. I'm opening to divine realms as well. It's like evoking the realm of Shambhala, this realm of the bodhisattvas or sages, helping us, or feeling the touch of the angels, like the birds of the paradise, having the nest in the names of the divine, as the Sufis would say. So one angel has its nest in beauty, another angel has its nest in absolute purity, another angel has its nest in compassion, and all of them are touching us. It's like a world of perfection. This is bhavana, is like this longing, not necessarily imaging, about images. It's not about wishful thinking. It's just a longing that will naturally produce transfiguration. It's like when you naturally see your lover a goddess or a god. That would be bhavana. You are moved by that, and you allow that happen. And this is the secret of the divine names. And this is how this dvani, this resonance, this sacred meaning starts happening, and then duality between me and emotion disappears, and I become that love. I become that freedom, and so on. Is it clear? There are some people who may say, I don't believe in God. But now, really, it's irrelevant. It is irrelevant what you believe or not philosophically. Are you ready to surrender to love? To become one with love? To forget about yourself as Majnun? This is the question on Shaktopaya. And this is the question when you go deeper in meditation. Are you willing to drop all these personal aspects? And then what we believe or not is irrelevant. We are not speaking in a scholastic way about God. We are speaking experientially about that limit of beauty and compassion, and because such a limit needs to have a name, we may name it God or Allah or Shiva. But it's really that limit, that essence that you experience in your heart. As Rumi said, whether you love a human being or you love God, there will come a day when all lovers, either of man or of God, will be brought before the throne of love, before the throne of love. And the presence of that only beloved love will reign there. So it's the same in Tridaya meditation. Don't imagine that the revelation of the real I can happen as long as our minds are looking just for questions about how time passed, or, oh, I'm fighting with my mind, I'm frustrated with my thoughts, and so on. No. It is revealed for you a word of essence, asking, who am I? And that is what is happening when you really ask this question, who am I? That AI makes you shiver like in the front of the most beautiful and majestic aesthetic creation. This Al-Jamal, Al-Jalal, the beauty, majesty, magnificence. So this is the realm of quality the Sufi tradition is speaking about, the Tantra is speaking about. No? It's about crying in front of beauty at least once. No? People go in different places where art is, in Florence, for example, and then I heard people being there doing checking lists, no? But the checking list is in this realm of quantity. I went to that museum and then to the other museum, or these statements. If you go to Florence, you need to see at least once David of Michelangelo, of course, and the birth of Venus of Botticelli. It's not this. It's not about making checking lists, but a list to cry genuinely once in front of beauty. Then this would be okay to put on a checking list. I cried. No, I cried in front of beauty. That vani, that tremor of the heart. And then, of course, you don't feel like doing checking lists anymore. So honoring the qualities in this life, this should be our education about, not about doing checking lists, not about just quantity. I got and I saw that, you know, that I was in Uffizi, I was in that gallery, I saw that, so what? So what? The heart, no? Ramana was not in Uffizi gallery, no? And still, the whole beauty was reflected in his heart. And the same with Ramakrishna and so many. And for all these great sages, for the bodhisattvas, what is a bodhisattva? Is a human being or a being in which these divine qualities are blossoming. It's a garden of divine qualities. It's a garden in which all these divine qualities are blossoming. And then the one who says also, I love God, but I cannot love men, he does not really love God. He cannot. It is like saying, I love you very much, but I do not like to look at your face. No? It's so intimately connected. So all these aspects may be intellectually, metaphysically satisfying, but really they are having their meaning in experience when we learn to really surrender, to really abandon, to accept this possession of beauty, this drunkenness in that Aum Mani Padme Hum, Aum Mani Padme. That jewel of consciousness and that lotus of the world united in the heart. And this is how music and art are honored, and is just divine grace that is happening. Then many such nuances can appear. For example, we have Sabr Jamil from As-Sabur. As-Sabur is the last name, the 99th name of God, which means the patient, the all-enduring, this quality of a perseverance. But then it's Jamil, the beauty of this perseverance, which can be this depth of perseverance. It's a quality that allows us to fulfill our contemplation of divine beauty in manifestation, even in the face of great difficulties. So to persevere and to deepen that, and to be able to see exactly as Saint John of the Cross, as Saint Francis of Assisi was able to see compassion and to look in spite of that challenging situation. And it is quoted related to this As-Sabur al-Jamir, the beauty and the perseverance together, a story of Jacob and Joseph. Joseph was the most favorite son of Jacob, and the story in the Bible goes that the other brothers of Joseph were jealous and planned to kill him, and then the story in the Bible appears that they come to lie his father, saying that Joseph was eaten by wolves, and then they show the coat which Joseph received from his father, from Jacob, the most beautiful coat, full of blood. They just cut goat and put the blood there, saying that Joseph was killed by wolves. But in the way in which sometimes in Islam the biblical stories are said in a different way, and are said in a more transfigurative way, I would say, in a way in which suggests this nobleness of the soul. And this is exactly where this beauty of all-enduring Jacob appears, because he is not just crying, oh, my son died. He is just believing in that love and said, no, it's your nafs, it's your lower ego tendencies that came up with this story. Joseph is alive. And it was true, Joseph was alive. And that intuition came to him, that insight came to his noble soul. He is a prophet. And that intuition came as a perseverance in that love, as a perseverance in love. This is an example of this Sabr Jamil, the beauty of perseverance. Now I will come with a quote which is a little bit more difficult, I would say, before starting to speak practically about the levels of the nafs. So this was a kind of introduction, and we'll touch this topic of nafs al-amara now. But before this, we'll conclude with some statements of Najim Kobra, a great Sufi mystic, who speaks about the heart and the divine qualities. To understand these statements, I will also say that in the Sufi tradition, as in the yogi tradition, you are able to receive something with an organ which is resonating with that reality. So in order to appreciate or to see physical light, we need eyes, an organ that will echo and will resonate with that energy. The yogic tradition says the tanmatra, the energy specific to the capacity of seeing, in order to touch as well. Each of these senses are in a spectrum. Now, in order to see the subtle worlds, your heart needs to be open to that. In order to see beauty, your heart needs to be open to beauty. In order to see purity, your heart needs to be open to purity more and more. In order to see the essence, that is happening to the very essence. Is like it is the truth that reveals the truth. No, when you come to that very purity of your being, then the purity of the essence will be revealed. So, Najim Kobra said, the heart, our soul, participates in every divine quality, so such attributes, beauty, sacredness, which again, they are alive, and we have a relationship with them, and therefore in the divine essence. So through them to that essence of being, to who we really are, to that I. So in order to reveal, we can say like this, in order to reveal who we are, we should know also about purity and beauty and sacredness, because all of them are pure emanations of this I. So the heart, the soul, participates in every divine quality and therefore in the divine essence. This participation does not cease to grow, and the mystics differ from each other according to the extent of their participation. No? For some may be more beauty, for some may be an openness to love, for some more openness to purity, for some more openness to compassion or integrity, and so on. since each quality or such divine attribute has its seat in one of the places or abodes in question. So it's like Kali in time, and all the expressions of time, and beauty in all the expressions of beauty in the world, and so on. And since the heart, now the soul, our soul, participates in each of the divine attributes, they are revealed in the heart. So these qualities are revealed in the heart to the extent that the heart participates in these attributes. So compassion, beauty, love become divine revelations or epiphanies if my soul is open to that. If I say, oh, I was wounded in my relationship and I don't want to know about love, or of course that will not happen anymore. But if I consciously cultivate and honor that, no, they say this start being revealed to the extent that the heart participates in these attributes, which are shaktis, which are divine manifestations. I honor Kali, I honor Tripura Sundari, the very expression of beauty. Thus, he continues, attributes are revealed to attributes. That means the beauty or Tripura Sundari or Kali is revealed to that capacity of my heart to see that, to understand that, no? To that time, eternity of my soul. Essence to essence, no? Or the self, we can say, to the self. God to this Atman, to this essence of our being, which of course are ultimately inseparable. On the one hand, the attributes or places where we discover them, the beauty of the sea, contemplate the heart. So it's like saying Kali is contemplating our heart. Time is contemplating our heart. And cause the heart to be present to them. The heart means the heart is taken by beauty. So this is the passive feature, we can say, of the heart. I am taken by that divine quality. On the other hand, the heart contemplates the place of the attributes, so the heart makes itself present to them, available to them. So this is, we can say, the active feature of the heart. Theophany, so grace or divine manifestation, is brought about when the attributes make themselves witnesses present to the heart, and the heart makes itself a witness and present to the places of the attributes. So this means beauty or love or any quality is the witness of the heart, and the heart is the witness of beauty and of its manifestation in the sea or in everything, for example. So St. John Chrysostom, speaking about the prayer of the heart, when you invoke Jesus, no? And he said, concludes saying, thus the heart swallows the Lord, and the Lord the heart, and the two become one. This is how, no? It's not about a person, Jesus, or I believe or not, or it's about that meaning. Because for me, Jesus means God, means sacredness, no, for that mystic. Or you may say, no, I don't, this is not my path, but it can be beauty. And then it's just this, when the beauty swallows your heart, and the heart your beauty, and the two become one. Yes? And again, Vijnana Bhairava says, eternal, omnipresent, without support, all-pervasive, the Lord of all that exists, meditating every moment on these words, you'll attain fulfillment according to their meaning. Again, not a logical meaning. No? Eternal. Yes, you can think about eternity, or there can be dvani, there can be that resonance in your heart. Eternity, you surrender. It's a state of samadhi in connection with eternity. And then that is a way of Shakti, of that quality, taking you to the divine. Are there questions about all that we said? Now we are prepared to approach Nafs Amara, the first Naf, the tyrannic Naf. It's worth to contemplate on all this, because they can help us a lot in meditation and in our spiritual journey. No? We consciously, as long as I am staying just with thoughts in my mind, this is not the proper attitude. When I start thinking about and echoing and inviting beauty and sacredness and longing, no, like Saint Francis of Assisi, no, brother, sun, sister, moon, when all the creation is in this communion, then we meditate. Who am I? Who am I? We'll start now speaking about these levels of the soul or dimensions of the soul. And the first of these nafs is or souls, or dimensions of our souls, is Nafs Amara. I remind you briefly, we can speak about the first one, tyrannical self, the regretful self, the inspired self, the serene self, the pleased self, the pleasing self, and the pure self. These, as I said, are like dimensions of our soul. Of course, we can objectify ourselves in such tendencies. And maybe speaking about the tyrannical self, definitely we will say now, since I am on a spiritual path, since I am here, definitely I am not just that kind of soul, completely ignoring spirituality and so on. But it's not about this. It's not about a complete negation in this scheme. Is that a part of your soul may have still such tendencies. And then we should objectify and we should address them. So, about this tyrannical self, Nafs Amara. Amara means to habitually or repeatedly command. Is the first stage known as tyrannical or depraved or commanding nafs. And it's the lowest state of our soul, because our animal instincts have defeated the rational self and human consciousness. So a human being at this level has no morality or consciousness, or conscious, we can say, and even takes pleasure sometimes in committing evil, rejecting any spiritual guidance. So it's we say that is the tyrannical self, but at this level, it's not the ego that commands. It is commanded, actually. Our soul is commanded by the vain desires of the world, attaching itself to lust, anger, selfishness, envy, arrogance, cynicism, backbiting, bitterness, lying, laziness, ignorance, and so on. This is a heavy influence, because here the instinctual desires are there, and we are able to escape only with a strong will. So to resist temptation, or to resist the addictions or the obsessions or our strong attachments to situations, even old bad habits, and so on. We can say that in a sense there are no vital signs. No, the doctor speaks about the lack of vital signs, or there are vital signs when somebody is still alive. But we should not look only to the physical vital signs. We should look also, it's also useful to have this idea of the aliveness of the soul, of our soul. So the heart should be stirred, the mind should be alive, should be open, the heart should vibrate. So it's not just about what we are doing today, or what about my soul? What happened to my soul today? How much my soul was honoring life, was enjoying, or it was just lacking the vital signs, lacking that aliveness. It's like, the Rumi poem, you think you are alive, that you breathe air. Shame on you that you are alive in such a shallow way. Don't be without love, so you won't feel death. Die in love and stay alive forever. So it is just that surrender in love to those divine qualities that will keep our soul really alive. Every one of us can have such dead areas in our being. So we have such dead areas when we are attached, when we are worried, when we are afraid, when we have situations in which we are stuck in superficial thinking or conventional thinking, or we don't want to face the truth, or we just want to avoid things. But if we look deeply with great sincerity and passion, we start again discovering that passion, that wonder, that freedom. Not just that numbness that comes from reactivity. I am afraid of being criticized, and therefore I'm not doing this, or I'm avoiding that, or I feel so much wounded. Who am I? So this fear, it's a fear of the unknown. People often say, I'm too old to be changed, or I don't want to do this, I cannot do this. No? Yes, this openness and transformation of the soul can bring a fear of the unknown, requiring us to shift, to move from those accustomed ways of life. However, if we start to commit to a transformation, our old habits will slowly lose their grip on us, and then also through divine grace, the freedom will come. So it's important to take the first step. What are the causes of this tyranny of the ego? It's just the direct result of the abandonment of and ignoring the principles of transformation, sacred to all wisdom cultures, which involves surrender, self-sacrifice, love, self-awareness, presence, humbleness. All these are ignored, all these are denied. What happens when the echoes of a Hridaya retreat, for example, or being in Hridaya and following a course, and I'm referring to Hridaya, but of course this is not just happening in Hridaya. We tend to go on a spiritual path or in an intense place of an intense transformation. And then, yes, a lot of transformations may appear and our soul is open and it's so easy and it's so much freedom there. But then people say, 1 month passed, 2 months passed, I felt very well, but then slowly I came to the old habits. Again, the old tendencies. Again, the same difficulties, those uplifting revelations, or that capacity of seeing beauty so easily is not there anymore. So these tendencies diminish, tend to become dim, that clarity of being, that resonance. And then what is the conclusion that we come? No? We tend to say we are not anymore in that Hridaya bubble. It was just a bubble there. In the real world, they would say it's not so. It's not like this, meaning that it is normal to come back to the old way of thinking. It is normal to be again closed. It is normal to suffer again. No, this is the real world. Hridaya was somehow an illusion, or having that intense time of a spiritual retreat or experience was somehow an illusion. No, the conclusion should be different. The conclusion should be, I saw it is possible. As long as I keep my heart open, as long as I learn to long for truth, not making compromises, not being taken by this tyranny of the lower tendencies, it is possible. It is possible to feel love, to feel freedom. I saw this. I experienced this. So I know that it is possible. Now I don't feel it anymore in my heart. My soul is again lost in all patterns, but I know it is possible and I'm going to come back to that openness again and again. Yes? So this is the way in which the transformation happens. The characteristics of such nafs al-amara, according to the Sufi tradition, arrogance, ambition, jealousy, greed, selfishness, lack of gratitude, anger, narcissism, laziness, cynicism, pride, restlessness, cruelty, lust, enmity, addiction to worldly pleasures, uncontrolled desires, appetites and instinctual habits, lack of a conscious heedlessness of a behavior, of the behavior's impact on others, so a lack of empathy, basically. You don't care, we don't care about how others would feel. It's a closeness of the heart, a denying of God, not necessarily in a metaphysical way, but it's like not a trust in that beauty of being. Of course, we can elaborate and we can explain about all this, but I hope that is quite clear, and it's just enough for us to contemplate and to see if some of these characteristics are still there in our being in an obvious state or in a more subtle or suppressed state, but still there, a narcissism or laziness and so on. I'm going to briefly compare this with such ways of looking at these limitations in other traditions. For example, in Christianity, no? This is like a disease. This is a disease of our soul, which all these spiritual traditions mentioned. In Christianity, we have these so-called major sins, 7 major sins. And these major sins, it's interesting to see, are not acts, but are tendencies of our soul. It's not that, oh, it's a major sin to kill somebody or to... They don't speak about that. They speak about the human heart or human soul subject to such deadly tendencies. You may name it sin or whatever, tendencies which will make our soul a slave. No, it's that condition of the nafs al-amara. And you have here a representation of the human soul dominated by these 7 major sins according to the Christian tradition. And we have the toad, the symbol of the avarice, the snake, the symbol of envy, lion, wrath, snail, sloth, pig, gluttony, no, the tendency to eat a lot, and goat, lust, and the peacock, pride. No? In Christian art, this appeared, for example, Hieronymus Bosch has the table of 7 deadly sins, and we can find in many works of art in Christianity. Also, the Babel's Tower is, according to Dante and to many, an expression of pride. No, human being and also an expression of this realm of quantity, believing that through quantity, growing, will touch the essence, which will never happen. So this in Christianity. In Buddhism, we have in Mahayana tradition the 5 kleshas, or kleshas are causes of suffering in general, but in Buddhism, especially in Mahayana, they are seen as mental states that cloud the mind and result in unwholesome actions. And they are ignorance, attachment, aversion, pride, jealousy. We see something different from what the Christianity and the Abrahamic traditions are speaking. This ignorance fundamentally is forgetting that sense of oneness, that original cause, who we really are, that divine nature of our being. And can be translated also as confusion, delusion, disorder. And then from ignorance, attachment and aversion are coming, like and dislike. No? Attachment, desire, passion, yearning, but in that limited, negative, not yearning to the divine, of course. It's an attachment to lower aspects, aversion, no, the opposite tendency, anger, hatred, rage, fury, and then pride and jealousy. No? Pride, arrogance, conceit, overconfidence, condescension, and then jealousy, envy, spite, covetousness. Yes. And we have in the Mahayana Buddhism, in this Bhava chakra, the wheel of life, will not elaborate now, but here are the 6 existential conditions: the Deva realm, the realm of gods, the realm of asuras or demons, and then different other realms, hungry ghosts, hell beings, animals, humans, 6 such realms. They are none of them superior. They are just temporary. It's just the wheel of karma there. No? They come, and you may have a good karma, then you'll be in the realm of gods, but then this karma will be consumed, that good karma, and then you'll be in the realm of other realms and so on. And it goes and goes. Is a wheel of life. What is at the center of this wheel of life? There are 3 animals, the snake, the pig, and the rooster, symbolizing, again, this ignorance, like and dislike, attraction and repulsion. These are the 3 forces that are moving the wheel of existence. Then above, there is Buddha with a finger pointing to the moon, to the enlightenment. That is beyond this wheel of chakras, no? But otherwise, we are just caught in this, moved by ignorance, attraction, and repulsion, raga, dvesha. Then in yoga as well, Patanjali speaks about these 5 kleshas or causes of suffering, which are, again, avidya is the support of all of them. So it's the ignorance, not theoretical ignorance, but the ignorance of who we are, which gives this ego, asmita, this sense of I, and again, raga, attachment with things we like, so we get attached to them, we don't want to give them away, or we are jealous about people who don't have, we are proud that we have, and so on. And dvesha, aversion, repulsion towards the things we dislike. So learning to go beyond this. And then in yoga, Patanjali names also abhinivesha, which is not really fear of losing life. This is not a correct translation, but is actually fear of death. The tendency to protect biological life is legitimate. But that fear of death, which comes from a misunderstanding that we are not just this body, and that's why a materialistic person, when it will hear you have a problem, you have that and that situation, becomes anxious, or of course you become anxious, since you know all that you know is that this body. And then I have that problem, this means the end of everything. And then you may be, surprised. Why this uncle or friend of mine is so paralyzed by that anguish, that because he has this and that possibility, and there is this kind of need for more investigation for that, but he is more stressed and more destroying himself just with that anxiety. Why? Because he is afraid of death. Because he considered that death is the annihilation of everything. And all these are tendencies of our soul. In Bhagavad Gita, there is also the 16th chapter, which is exactly about the divine and demonic nature. And Krishna explains to Arjuna, explains to us what means to have a soul that is just taken by these demonic tendencies. Because it is quite late, I'm not going to go into this. We'll continue with that And then next satsang will speak about the remedies. So we'll come with the specific remedies according to the Sufi tradition and according to yoga, what to do how to deal with all such tendencies. But as a solution, so I would still like to come with a night with a note of light, and not with just to end with such demonic tendencies. And a solution according to Sufi, he said that this tyrannical self is like thief who sneaks into our house at night to steal our values. We cannot fight this thief directly because it will mirror whatever power we use against it. If we have a knife, the thief will also have a knife. If we'll have a gun, the thief will also have a gun. So the struggle with the thief is just disaster. It's just this fight with the ego. It's just trying to suppress things and so on. But what is the practical solution? The only practical solution is, no, the thief is in the house with you, to turn on the light. You turn on the light. No? The thief, a coward at heart, will run out of the house. So, in a similar way, how do we turn the light in our lives? No? By asking, who am I? No? Through this practice of remembrance, awareness, evoking the divine qualities, is a way in which our soul is nourished and is purified. And regarding this light, I'm going to conclude with a confession of the same Najim Cobra, who spoke about the heart and the attributes, how they reflect each other. So confession, of course, his soul was free to fly beyond all these limitations. And he speaks about a meditation that he had. And a remarkable experience of, we may say, synchronicity between Najim Cobra meditation, Murakaba, these are the meditations in Sufi tradition, and his sheikh, his master, Amar Badlist. So Najim Cobra says, I was in my retreat, and behold, I experienced ecstasy. I was taken away. I was raised to the heights, and behold, there was a rising sun before me. The same symbolism of light. There was a rising sun before me. I was led into this sun after having experienced the tremendous intensity of its energies. So he became one with the sun. For them, in these visions also, they will say, because the heart is just reflecting, that vision is not separate from me. So that sun I saw is actually in my heart as well. Anyway, so that intense energy and being dissolved into that light. Later, I questioned the sheikh, he said, about this, the master. He said to me, "Glory be to God. I myself had the following vision in a meditation recently. I seemed to be strolling, walking in the sacred territory of Mecca. You were with me," so referring to the disciple, Najim Cobra. "You were with me, and the sun was in the middle of the sky. Then you said to me, 'O Sheikh, do you know who I am?' I said, 'Who are you?' You said, 'I am that sun in the sky.' Then my sheikh rejoiced that our two visions had synchronized. But then the sheikh continued, referring to this consciousness of oneness between the vision and who you are, and then even giving a method for such an openness to such experiences. So the sheikh said, I was ushered into, so I was showed the world of the heart. I carried on the battle for God night after night. So it's a metaphoric way of saying longing and commitment to self-awareness, bringing thoughts into the light of consciousness. And then the method. He said, I observed the sky attentively until it entered into my inner world, and I experienced that I am the sky. I experienced that I am the sky. And I observed the sky throughout other nights until I saw it below me, just as I had seen it above me. And I observed the earth night after night, and I sought to discover it as it is, until it was engulfed in an orb of light. This is how the soul starts experiencing the world, the subtle worlds, when it's freed from just the attachments and fears. So, honoring again beauty and majesty in our heart, and with this willingness to die into beauty and majesty, to know of nothing but this. Beauty, beauty. In the world, in the heart, that divine essence. conclude now. May you keep the awareness of the divine qualities in your heart.